Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have January Donovan. She is the founder of the Women's School, a mindset and skill set training school for women. Welcome to the show, January.
Welcome, AJ. Thank you for having me all the way across Florida. I'm so grateful and honored. Thank you.
You are welcome to the show, January. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people, especially women, will benefit from what we are going to talk about. We'll be talking about how one can become a whole new woman, especially because you have this women's school. So I
Mhm.
want to understand for the audience, January, when you talk about becoming a whole new woman,
Mhm.
what is this whole new women? Women are themselves, they complement everything. They bring a newness to everything. What
Oh,
is this whole new women in today's time?
well, thank you for acknowledging that women bring a newness to everything and that our gift to the world is irreplaceable. I really appreciate that. We can't do it on our own. And I think that we really do complement each other. So, what does it mean to be a whole woman? I think that when we look at the history of women, what we see is that parts of women have not been valued. And what I mean by that, it used to be that men owned women as a property. It used to be that women did not vote, couldn't have rights. Now we're seeing sort of really a fruit of the feminist movement for the good and the bad. All movements have good and bad, where now in not all of the world, but there is a movement towards, we need to give women equal opportunities. We need to also give them freedom and also really see that their value is irreplaceable at home, in the marketplace, and all over the world. But the problem is that as we continue to see our freedom, when you look at women today, what are we valued for? Our body, right? Maybe our possession, maybe our perfection. And so what women are struggling right now is having to prove themselves instead of really asking themselves, does every part of me matter? My mental health, my emotional health, my physical health, the image that I hold of myself, my friendships, my intimate life. It means that sacred part of you in your marriage, that's special to somebody, my contribution to the world, my environment, my wealth, which is not just about money, it's about time and talent, and my family. So, what we need to do is to reintroduce to the world that that every part of the woman matters and not just parts of us. And that's what I believe is sort of the fifth wave of feminism, right? We have the sort of first wave of feminism more in the West where we fought for freedom to vote. Second wave feminism, sort of our rights. It was a little bit of this sexual revolution, for the good and the bad. I think it came with a lot of bad. And then the third wave feminism to make sure that there's equal pay and that the women's voices in the workplace, I think, were allowed. And then what we're seeing is sort of the fourth wave right now, where a lot of sort of pop culture feminism, what we want, I believe, is this fifth wave of feminism where we're learning the good, take away the bad, and say, how can this new woman have freedom and responsibility, honor who she is as a woman without dishonoring men, have a voice in the workplace, the marketplace, and her contribution, her genius, but never apart from her call in her home as a mother? It means that she is able to lead, but not as a man, but as a woman, because every part of her is valued. And I think that women don't know how to do that, and we need to train her.
Okay, okay. What are the biggest impediments for her training then? Because is it the men? Is it women? You said women don't themselves need to
Mhm.
learn about these things. That's why I asked. Who is the biggest impediment towards being the woman that they were born for and being the woman that they want to be? Help us understand in the
Yes,
backdrop of the women's school also, so
great.
that people know what they can learn from
Yes.
your school.
I think the biggest three big impediments is the devaluing of women in our culture. It's just over sexualized, and we are valued based on what we can produce. So we have a cultural, I would say, I would say cultural war on our self-worth. That's number one. Number two is that there's no training on how to be a woman. So when your audience are listening, where do you go to learn how to find quality friendships, how to make decisions, how to be the kind of woman who is intentional, who's kind, who knows how to draw boundaries? There's no training that integrates the whole woman. I think part of the problem, the roadblock, is that we actually just assume that just because we are born a woman, that we know how to be a woman. And we know that's not the case. Data tells us the mental, I would say, mental disorder, loneliness is an epidemic, suicide. I mean, women today are really suffering, but I think they're suffering because they just don't know how. They don't know how to design the life they want. And then the world is telling them they need to prove, make money, have a body. And so now you've got this world that's taunting them. And then they have no training. So they're just overwhelmed and they don't know how to. But number three, I think the biggest impediment is that women need to say yes to their own personal development. Sometimes we are our biggest impediment. What does that mean? It means that I, as a woman, as a mom of 8, built a multi-million dollar business, I'm speaking, I've got 2 bestsellers. I have to every single day continue to say, how can I learn today? How can I grow? How can I develop my mindset, my skill set? And the biggest impediment is sometimes women don't feel like they need to study themselves, that they need to grow. And we can't love ourselves unless we know ourselves. And the only way we know ourselves is that we have to train ourselves to get to know ourselves. So those are, I believe, the 3 biggest impediments. Us, our ability to learn, the lack of a school for training women how to be a woman, and the cultural madness of devaluing our self-worth.
Right, January. You were featured in Forbes' list of self-worth strategists.
Mhm.
A lot of women have this feeling of, different sort of a feeling about their own self-worth
Yes.
for whatever reasons. So, where in if we look at the marketplace or in workplaces, a lot of this whole fight about equality is about men and women equality, especially in the workplaces.
Yeah.
How would you like to put this equality part? Is that fight over? Does that fight continue, or does this being a right sort of a new sort of a woman has left this part of the fight long back, much behind, and it's now a new time to rediscover yourself, who you want to be, what you are, and how you can achieve the best self worth that you actually fully deserve. Help us from this perspective,
Yeah.
because you have been featured in Forbes because of being a self worth strategist.
Yeah. So I think that the fight for equality is always going to, I would say, for the rest of our life, because nobody's perfect. But the current fight for equality, meaning, is not really a fight for equality. It's really almost a comparison and competition between men and women. So we have to make sure we understand that it's not, it's sort of like I can do this and you can do this. So it's not a unified fight for equality, I would say. Now, that's a general statement. So I do think it's becoming irrelevant, this whole equality, but I don't think it will actually um, uh, it will be complete unless we understand that our self-worth is unconditional. And here's what I mean by that. You were born, I was born, and it is a divine gift from God, which means my money, my talents, my gifts, what I do, what I can't do doesn't change my value. It doesn't. Now, I could achieve other things. I could fulfill my call. I could achieve, status, but that does not make me less valuable as a woman than a man, or I'm not valuable based on my money. And so, what we need to do is retrain neurologically, literally our brain wirings, that we need to help both men and women understand that their self worth is never changing. We give them a physical evidence of this, the fact that we have trillions of cells, the fact that we have billions of neurons, that is unique to our brain probability, the fact that our experiences are unique in this time in history. What we need to tell women is that nobody will ever be you biologically, your experience, therefore your self-worth. You're so valuable. What makes something valuable? Rarity. And so now this fight for equality, right, should move to, no, what is my unique ability as a man and as a woman, not apart from it, because right now I think we're fighting the wrong fight. We're equal, but what we have right now is the fight is really is about equal outcome. And what that means is that we are negating the fact that every human person is uniquely created. We can't have equal outcome. And not only that, what women bring in the table is very different than what a man bring to the table. And I think we need and that's why I think this is a fifth of feminism, is the new woman. She's the woman that's saying, you know what? I am not going to take over a man. I want to be a woman amongst men. But I also don't want to be a pushover, but I also want to nurture men. I don't want to compete with men and compare myself with men or women. I want to go in there with a heart that is pure, that is kind, that is intentional, that is fierce, that is disciplined, that is dedicated, that is responsible. And that's what I think that's the new woman we need. She's working, she's diligent, she is honorable, she's a woman of integrity. She's fierce, but she's kind and she's gentle and she knows how to hold space and how to be a mother. Could be a physical mother, but also the tenderness of nurturing children. But she also knows her place outside her home. It's not either or, it's both and. And I believe that's the new kind of woman that the world needs now. But we cannot become her unless we train ourselves, because it doesn't just happen. We have to train to become her. Just like Olympics train for the gold medal, they have coaches, they have feedback, they study every single day. The art of being a woman, I would say the epitome of femininity, is like the Olympics of our lifetime. We have to train. And until women take that responsibility of her interior growth, I think the world will continue to suffer.
Right. A lot of thought is that a lot of, market forces, they have created this whole situation that has put a lot of pressure on women in today's time.
Mhm.
That you got to be this, you got to be this, advertising, because all these make a good market, women as a big market for their products and services. They create new products, new demands of women,
Mhm.
define women in new ways so that it can create more, more product friendly,
Sure.
different sort of product in women themselves.
Mhm.
How do you like to look at this, and how do you tackle this?
Right.
Because this is not going to go away.
No.
You
And
look
I
at
don't
social media, you look at advertising, you look at every other aspect of
Yes.
life. Women have a very big fight here. How do you look at it?
When you don't know your value, you're susceptible to temptation, you're susceptible to propaganda, you're susceptible to being manipulated. If I think my value is based on the clothes that I wear, my body, my makeup, my name brand, I'm always going to buy that because that makes me feel valuable. But when I understand that my value never changes with the purse that I wear, with the shape of my body, because my worth is unconditional, irreplaceable, then I won't be tempted to buy all those things that make me important. Why do women buy all these things in the propaganda? Because they want to feel valued. Why do you think women buy name brand clothes, name brand, shoes and purses? Because it makes them feel valuable, because they don't feel valuable apart from it. Now, it doesn't mean you don't buy those name brands, or you don't, buy those things that they sell, but you're not tempted irresponsibly. You can say, I will buy it, but it never changes my value. I don't need it. It is not my crutch. I am valuable as I am. And so what we have is now a lesser temptation and a lesser, I would say, less ability to be manipulated by all the marketing schemes of, oh, this is going to make you younger. Oh, this is going to make you sexy, and all that, I would say, nonsense. And the women lay it in bed at night thinking, I have to prove myself, I have to prove myself, I have to prove myself, I have to be perfect, I have to look like this, I have to be this kind of mom and this kind of, Why? Because once again, it goes back to they don't know their value and they lack training.
Right. A lot of women have to deal with overwhelm, stress, anxiety.
Mhm.
What is the reason for that? Is it about hormones? Is it about pressure from society? Is it, I want to understand. It's not that stress and overwhelm and all anxiety is not there in men, but when it comes to women, it becomes a totally different subject. Is it, who is the culprit here? Is it again, I want to understand from you, January.
So I do think that there's many different things, but I do think there's one main thing. Overwhelm equals underskilled. Let me paint this picture for you. Oh my gosh, I've got so much going on at home and I've got to cook and I've got to cook, I've got to get this done. Let me tell you what the skills. If you don't know how to manage your mind, you will be overwhelmed. If you don't know how to build a routine, you will be overwhelmed. If you don't know how to say no to all the activities, you will be overwhelmed. If you don't know how to clean your kitchen, you will be overwhelmed. If you don't know how to communicate your needs, hold other people accountable, you will be overwhelmed. The root cause of being overwhelmed is because you're underskilled. You don't know how to take care of you. How else are you going to take care of your household? And now you have to work outside your home. So to me, all this anxiety and stress, and I've seen it with thousands of our students, AJ, they were overwhelmed for decades and for years. We're in medication, we're in therapy. They come to the women's school and we give them practical training on how to manage your emotion, how to manage your mind, how to take care of the body. You give them hundreds of skills, and all of a sudden, they're no longer overwhelmed. It didn't change the circumstances of their life. They knew how to manage the circumstance of their life. Why? Because they had the skill training necessary. So if you're overwhelmed out there, ask yourself, what skill do you need to overcome your overwhelm? But it goes back again. Where do you get training? Because women need hundreds and hundreds of skill. Why? Because there's more demanded of us. It used to be that we were just in our home. It used to be that we just took care of our children. Now we have to take care of not just our children, but our community. And now we have to take care of community, but also work. So now we need skill after skill and mastery of our skill. And then every season of our life, when I had 4 kids under 4, I needed to learn skills of boundaries, of saying no. But then with 6 kids and building a business, I needed to learn more skills. And so this is why I say to women, we're overwhelmed, we're underskilled, and if we're not growing our skill set and our mindset every single day of our life, we are walking into a life of overwhelm, which robs us of our purpose, of the quality of our life, which robs us of meaningful relationship. Because when you're overwhelmed, can you connect deeply with people? No, stress actually makes us selfish. Why? Because what stress does is it makes us really tunnel vision. All we think about is me, 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 me. And we get stressed because we lack the skill to manage both our mind, our emotion, and lack the skill.
Right. One more point. You talk about biological attack on biological women.
Mhm.
Help us understand this. Who is attacking here, and what is it that they want to achieve?
It's a good question. Who I think there's a small, I would say, sinister group of people in the world that are trying to play God. And what they have is they are trying to infiltrate every part of society. And they're saying, okay, we now have genderless bathroom. Girls can go into boys' bathroom, boys can go into girls' bathroom. I think there's a propaganda of dehumanizing each person, but also sort of this genderless society. So when I say who, I do think that there is, um, I would say people that are really at the top who has money, who wants to push forth the gender ideology as opposed to helping people who have gender dysphoria. That's very, very different because people are suffering with gender dysphoria. But now you're seeing it in Hollywood, you're seeing it in our military system, you're seeing it everywhere. And I think they are, I would say, maybe working with the government um, to put forth this agenda. So it's not sort of maybe this sort of one body. I almost feel like there's sort of a hidden body behind it that's pushing the agenda, and where they're really, I would say, having a lot of success is in our universities because that's where they're putting forth all these uh, ideologies, and it's poisoning our youth on understanding the importance of both a man and a woman, the importance of a unique gender and the beauty of it. But I do say also that I am hopeful because I think that a few number of people who are dictating how the world's going to operate and changing the laws because of how they want to live their life is not the majority. And I think the majority is waking up and saying, I want a man and a woman. I don't want, I don't want my girls to be in a boy's bathroom. I don't want you to, what is it called? Do surgery on my 12-year-old child who doesn't even know how to make decisions. Their frontal lobe is not formed till 25. So people are starting to wake up and people are pushing back. And so I think that there's a lot of hope and we need to continue to speak up. But this is why I started speaking out because, my work is training. But I thought, what would I do if I didn't defend the value of the uniqueness of what it means to be a woman? I am culpable. And so I think we all have to wake up who sees the unique value of men and women and speak up. Because I do think that if we don't push back in 10 years, we are going to walk back into 100 years ago where women did not have voices. And we're starting to see that in the sports.
Right. January, there is much to learn from you, much to understand from you, either in terms of the women's school, in terms of you being an author, redefine success for women. This is the me I choose to be. So how can people get the best out of January Donovan in terms of her school, in terms of her book? What is the best way people can connect with you and learn from you?
Great. So I created a free course for everybody in the world. We already have thousands of students and we have a waiting list, but you can join. It's called How to Be a Woman freecourse.com. That way you have the foundation of what we teach and it's all free. And what you do is you just sign up on this free course. We assign you with a small group of women, a coach, and you walk through the training for 1 month and it's all free. And this is really our grassroots effort to awaken the hearts of women and say, we have a duty to raise the dignity of women. And so if all the listeners that are listening, join our free course, howtobeawomanfreecourse.com, sign up. We will serve you. And it's 1 month of training. And I think that you're going to quickly see and have, I would say, language, because that's part of the problem, AJ, is that we are feeling all these frustrations. We don't know our value, but we can't articulate it. We don't know what to say. What does that mean? We don't have language for it. Like, to see with eyes of wholeness. And so what you're going to see in the women's school, it's actually a whole new language that raises the dignity of women. But also I want to say that we raise the dignity of women by also raising the dignity of men and families and never apart from it. It's not this, I am woman, hear me roar, men are this. No, we honor the value of men by taking responsibility in training ourselves to become the best of who we can be as a woman and never apart from it. And I truly believe that this grassroots effort is going to change and rebuild culture, one whole woman at a time. It's already happening. We went to 40 countries in just 3 years. Why? Because the work is deep, it's necessary, and it's relevant for the crisis of today. And men are rising up, and I see it. And I think it's time for us to push forth a new movement of this new feminism called the new woman, the kind of woman who has freedom and responsibility for such a time as this.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.